Investigators on Thursday recovered the so-called black boxes from the passenger plane that collided with a U.S. Army helicopter at a Washington airport a day earlier. A preliminary report about the incident is expected within 30 days. National Transportation Safety Board member Tom Inman said the military helicopter was also equipped, quote, with some form of recording devices, and those will be read either by DoD or by us, referring to the Department of Defense. He said the agencies have agreements to share data on those recorders. The crash, which killed 67 people and left no survivors, is the deadliest U.S. air disaster in more than 2 decades. The cause remains unclear. Radio communication showed that air traffic controllers alerted the helicopter about the approaching American Airlines jet and ordered it to change course. For aviation experts like Daniel Bubb, those details are difficult to square.
The air traffic controller apparently was talking to the helicopter pilot and said maintain visual separation from the American Airlines jet. And apparently that pilot acknowledged those instructions. So that's why I think this is very perplexing. It's hard to know. Did the helicopter pilot get confused? Was there a medical episode?
Reuters asked Mike Ginter, another aviation expert, whether he thought the accident could have been avoided.
I can tell you that the airspace in and around Washington, D.C. is the most restricted, regulated, controlled, complex airspace in the country. Any aircraft flying in that area is under direct and specific control of air traffic control, including that helicopter and that airliner. So if the answer is yes, it was probably preventable, and that's exactly what the NTSB will uncover in their investigation.
Names of all the victims have not been released, but they included promising young figure skaters and people from Kansas, where the flight originated. Senator Maria Cantwell said that the dead also included citizens from Russia, the Philippines, and Germany. Chinese state media reported 2 Chinese citizens had been killed in the crash.
Military aircraft can do training exercises anytime during the day. They can operate in and out of civilian airports as well. In fact, around the country, we even have major airports that are both joint military and civilian. So they can do that. But my overarching question is, and it's hard to know, what was the helicopter pilot thinking? The American Airlines jet was on final approach to runway 33. They're in the landing configuration, which means they have all their lights on, including landing lights. It's a clear night. How can you not see the plane? We also have technology on board our planes, one of which is an instrument called a traffic collision avoidance system, or a TCAS. And what that does, it shows all the planes that are around us within about a 5-mile or 10-mile radius. And it shows how high above us they are, how high or how far below us they are, so that we're aware. So if one gets close to the plane, you'll hear the TCAS, traffic, right? And so that's the other thing. Aircraft technology is modernized. That's why there are just so many questions here. It just doesn't make sense.
Was this accident preventable? The answer is probably. I can tell you that the airspace in and around Washington, D.C. is the most restricted, regulated, controlled, complex airspace in the country. There are several layers of security rings around Washington, D.C. ever since 9/11. And that accident happened within a couple miles of Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, which is inside what's called the flight restricted zone. Any aircraft flying in that area is under direct and specific control of air traffic control, including that helicopter and that airliner. So if the answer is yes, it was probably preventable, and that's exactly what the NTSB will uncover in their investigation. The military training is, bar none, exquisitely great. It's excellent training that the military pilots receive in all branches of the service. So I would probably encourage listeners not to cast an assessment on 500 or 1,000 hours of training. That training is top-notch, whether it's helicopter or fixed wing or jet or Army or Navy or